So my name is Uche or Jackie. I go by either one. I kind of grew up everywhere, I guess I would say.
Abdul Smith. Born in Sierra Leone, West Africa.
My name is Marisolle Negash. I am a pianist and vocalist. Born and raised here in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
I've been in Winnipeg for 8 years, since 2009.
Moved here in 2004.
I moved here for school, went to the University of Winnipeg, 4-year BBA in marketing and international business.
I went to the University of Manitoba. I graduated last year in criminology. Now I'm doing youth care.
I studied classical piano and classical voice throughout my childhood, and now I'm branching off to my original music and working on some more material to share.
Well, first of all, I'm a writer, a poet, and then a spoken word artist. So those three things go hand in hand.
I work around the city gigging, so I play in a project that is a trio. So I play the keys and sing. There's a bassist and a drummer. And I write the material for us, arrange tunes, and working on branching out of the city for some out-of-town shows.
I actually work in banking and finance, so that's like my full-time gig. And what I love to do is bake, I guess. Baking, decorating. I don't have an actual word, like a specific word for what I do, but I bake cakes.
I've been doing it for quite a while now, so my art is poetry.
Well, I've actually been doing it for like as long as I can remember.
My first exposure to music was around the age of 4, and my grandpa's sister around Christmas time would teach me hymns to sing at family parties. So she would be sitting with me, teaching me O Holy Night and Silent Night, and kind of coaching me because she would babysit me. And so the church was my first entry in terms of singing in public in front of a crowd. And the piano came in a little bit before that. I just had toys that were pianos, and I would always gravitate towards them, really wanting to play an instrument and just wanting to create sounds, not with my voice too. So
my mom's a caterer, so she has her own baking business, so I kind of grew up around it. Never really did my own cake by myself till I was like 12 or 13, and it felt like amazing. Oh my god, I can make my own cakes. And from there I noticed how much fun I had doing it, and how much like I was able to use my creativity and do what I really wanted to do with them. And that was kind of where it was just like, okay, I love doing this.
I started when I came here in grade 10. So my art teacher, and I'm from a place where there was war that lasted for about 10 years. So when I came here, I would draw those things, when they asked me to do a project, I would draw those things. And then she asked me to write things at the bottom to kind of explain what the piece was about, right? So that's how it started. So I started like writing those short stories about my experiences. People started calling me a poet. I was just kind of like, yo, okay, that's not that's not what I see myself as. But the more I heard it, the more I started to believe it, right? So everything just started with short stories and stuff like that.
my style of music is necessary. That's how I would describe it. It's R&B, it's soul music, and it's influenced by classical. I would say, like, my instincts, how I play my music, there's notes of classical technique, but I love R&B. I listened to a lot of that growing up, and I think that's just part of the sound that I'm creating right now, that's coming out of me.
I tend to write a lot about love. They usually have kind of like a lesson at the end. So you can read like 2-3 lines, and then I want you to get something, whether it is about love or about appreciating life. But I just want people to know that life itself is beautiful, and it cannot be taken for granted. So when I write, sometimes it might seems like, kind of like apocalyptic in a way that, the world is going to end tomorrow. But it's just to get you to think that, today might be guaranteed, but tomorrow isn't, which might sound depressing, but everybody needs to know that, right? So you don't take the things for granted that you have.
With cakes, it's very broad, right? Because there's no like specific decorating style. It's more or less what people want that I kind of go with. But I do have my favorites. Like, I love using fondant because it gives me more room to do more things with it. Makes a cake look more like luxurious, so it looks more expensive. So of course that's always fun, right?
Oh, so many challenges. But the greatest challenge, I think, has been branching out from saying, I just do this as a hobby, or I can play the piano, I can sing, and then being able to authoritatively say, no, I am a musician.
Greatest challenge will definitely be working full time and doing this as much as I can, or as much as I'd like to.
The greatest challenge was sharing my stuff with people, right? Because there are still things that I write that I don't feel comfortable sharing with the audiences, right? But I've come far. But the biggest challenge was making my peers kind of like know who I really am.
Why do I continue? Because I love doing it, right? Like I feel like it's me expressing myself through my art, even if a lot of people might not understand how I would do that through cakes. But whenever I'm doing it, I'm like in my zone doing my own thing, and it's like such a great feeling, right? No distractions. I just feel like everybody leave me alone. I don't talk to anybody. So I keep doing it because it's my escape from life problems, even the good things that are happening. When I just don't want to have to think about anything, baking's like my go-to.
The portrait thing is just to get me prepared for the book that I'm writing at the moment, right? So it's just like I have a story to tell, and not just my story. There's a lot of friends that I grew up with that didn't make it through the war, and just to give them a voice.
It would just sort of be first thing in the morning. That's when I really find is the best time for me to create, when my mind is clear. So just writing first, and then maybe accompanying myself and adding the music. But songs and pieces of music that I've written have been formed sometimes on the bus and into a voice memo. And so that's a process. Or sometimes I'm at the music store and then there's a keyboard to test, and I've finished songs at Long and McQuaid. That's just, so it's just sort of a piece of, I try to insert it wherever I am and not really feel like I need to be in one zone to do it.
I always tend to bake like at nighttime, right? So it's like my me time. My sister's asleep because I live with my sister. So she's asleep. I pour a glass of wine, put on some music, and just do my thing. So that's kind of how it started. And now that's the only time I feel like doing it, right? When I'm like laying in bed, it's late, I'm like, I can't sleep. I should be baking, right? So it almost just created itself as like the process came up. But that's like my favorite time to do it. So typically by morning, my cake's done, and I wake up to it, and it's like, oh, it's right here on the table. I can see it, right?
Seeing the reactions from people, people learning from what you're writing, people taking things in and really understanding who you are and what you're about. It's a way of healing, because at the end of the day, we're all seeking understanding, right? And if someone can really understand you to a level that, you may not even be able to understand yourself, it's a win, and it helps a lot. It's my way of healing. So
music might not be forever, but expressing myself, I just realized that knowing yourself and the process of finding and knowing yourself, it doesn't have to be an art form. Maybe it's like a friend of mine, he loves to plant and he loves to dig, and that's his quiet time. I think the scary part is not having that inner silence, and that's the art form that I think it is. It's like, where is your quiet moment? And today it's music. I'm not saying it won't always be, but I'm prepared to have to find other venues if that's ever taken away.
Stress relief, right? So I feel like it's my go-to when I'm trying to escape or run away from things. I just want to bake, be in my zone, focus on something else. So it's really nice to have that. Like, a lot of people don't know what their thing is, and I feel like that would really suck if I didn't know what my thing was, because I feel like everybody needs an escape, right? I also love to travel, but like stuff like that, when you think about it, it's like, it's really expensive. You can't just get up and go. But with baking, I feel like I can literally be stressing over something or not be able to sleep or crying over something and just be like, just get up and bake, right? It smells good, tastes good, and then I get to actually do what I like to do and distract myself from the things that are actually bothering me. So I'd say it's like it is therapy for me, because it's like it's my go-to for most things.